Inside the Galactic Empire's observation citadel, alien leaders expect Earth to submit to their demands. What they witness instead breaks centuries of imperial arrogance. Humanity does not speak, it acts, and the message is irreversible. "You still believe they will pay tribute?" snarled Grand Minister Severin, his tendrils twitching in amused disdain. The observation dais aboard the Imperial dreadnought Azur floated in calm silence, its crystalline canopy stretched wide across the stars, aimed at Sol. Below, Earth gleamed silently in orbit. No Imperial tax ships were yet inbound. No reply had come since the ultimatum beacon was delivered 10 solar rotations ago. "They're primitives," chirped Minister Halvac, brushing 2 digits across his pulsating neural tablet. "Their broadcasts still carry acoustic-based communication. No quantum fold transmissions, no psionic bandwidth, no dark channel activity. They're pretending to be stronger than they are." Zeverin's violet crest pulsed. "They've had time. Now we answer their silence." His fingers danced across the command array. "Relay full extraction fleet to Earth's orbit. Prepare to strip oceans, alloys, organics. Begin with the annihilation of their orbital satellites. We send a message. The Empire does not ask twice." The chamber dimmed as command protocols activated. Hundreds of ships began aligning through fold corridors, faint blue arcs dancing across the black like ghosts of war. Minister Halvac whispered, "Such a pity. I wanted to see what they'd beg for first, air or sunlight." Then, without warning, the fold stream broke, but not from the Empire. The warp distortions shattered spatial cohesion across Earth's near orbit. 39 objects decloaked, sharp, angular silhouettes darker than the void itself, their hulls absorbing all light. No registry, no identification beacons, no known transponder codes. They were not waiting. The alien ministers leaned forward, eyes constricting. "What are those? Identify now." "Those aren't Empire craft." The ships aligned into an arrowhead formation. Silent, still. Severin's third heart spasmed. "Scan them." Halvac's voice cracked. "Impossible, no reflection. Hull is composed of dark matter lattices. They're invisible to all Empire metrics." Aboard the observation canopy, a deep bass hum began. Low, steady, without source. It wasn't sound, it was vibration resonating through the hull itself. "Is that a weapon charge?" "Who are they?" Then came the signal. One transmission, one frame, one image, a human face, older, scarred, battle-worn, eyes like burned steel, silent for 2 seconds, then lips moved. "You had your chance." The transmission cut, and the sky changed. Earth's moon shattered first, not by explosion but by disintegration. The dark ships had not fired in the visible spectrum, but the moon fragmented in silence, pieces folding into nothingness before impact. Quantum implosion, spatial inversion cannons. The Empire had only theorized such weapons. Panic broke inside the council chamber. They just deleted a planetary body. "No heat signatures, no power sources. We can't map their energy use." Where did they come from? The human. Ships turned next. Not toward Earth, but toward the Imperial fleet arriving from fold space. The Ravusk, Velderium, Narrakul, and 12 more were caught mid-warp. Dark lines lanced from the human fleet. The Imperial ships vanished, not exploded, vanished, like they had never existed. No distress signal, not even a signature. "Wave!" Minister Halvac stumbled backward, his tablet clattering. "They erased mass, not just hulls, time, presence. They erased them from history," Severin growled. "No, this is a bluff. A bluff." But deep down, he knew. Earth hadn't responded to the tribute demand because they were waiting for the Empire to come closer, waiting to reveal that Earth was never defenseless. They had never begged, because they didn't need to. The Council fell into chaos. Emergency fold streams opened, redirecting forces, recalling colonies, signaling evacuation from outer sectors. Entire sections of the Empire moved into retreat patterns without formal orders. Inside the chaos, Minister Halvak's voice whimpered, "Why didn't we know? How did they hide this?" And behind him the star map of Earth twisted. From Sol's orbit more ships emerged, a second wave. Larger, thousands. Earth had built a fleet in silence, unregistered, undetectable, impossible, and now they were moving. From orbit toward the Empire's core sectors, the signal repeated, the same human face, now smiling, just 4 words this time, "Run while you can," and the feed ended. In the aftermath of Earth's chilling declaration, the Empire reels. Inside the Empire's strategic halls, fear gives way to panic. Meanwhile, aboard one of the human Dark Fleet command ships, Commander Elias Rourke and his crew finalize the next movement, unleashing a new kind of war, not fought for territory, but for memory. The Empire is about to learn that they didn't just misjudge Earth. They misunderstood what it meant to survive extinction. The Imperial Nerve Center, Citadel Carix, floated at the edge of the Niralis cluster, a planetary fortress housing hundreds of command tacticians, war-seers, and temporal analysts. Its walls, miles thick in layered neutronium, once stood as the unbreachable brain of the Empire's might. Now, its silence was unnatural. Each of the 3 suns around Carix pulsed through its viewports, a field of dying light. Inside, Archstrategos, Veltar observed the last 15 seconds of the Earth confrontation on infinite repeat, the human's face, the words, the disappearance of the Ravusk. His breath whistled through hollow gills. "You're certain," he said quietly to the minister. Beside him, "Not an illusion, not a dream bomb." "No illusion, Strategos," came the answer. "Memory anchors across all ship logs confirm, thousands witnessed, and—" He hesitated. Veltar turned. "Speak. We can no longer locate Luna in temporal archives. It's not that the moon was destroyed, it was subtracted, removed across temporal junctions. Even the histories no longer show tides." He turned away. "Then Earth is not what we believed, and we are no longer the dominant force in this sector. Silence again, until we demand options." The words echoed through the hall as Minister Saharen, eldest of the Archive Order, stepped forward, her voice shaking. "If Earth holds the power to erase time's signatures, then not only our fleets but our bloodlines, our records, our empires can be wiped clean. We must respond swiftly." Veltar's lower arms curled behind his back. "With what?" No one answered. Because there was no answer. Earth had emerged not just as a military threat, but as a myth, and the myth was hunting them. In the black arc of space near Pluto, the command ship Never Dying coasted with near-perfect silence. Inside its obsidian hull, Commander Elias Rourke stood in front of a 3D projection of the Sol system. His face was scarred, jaw square, eyes sunken but sharp. Around him, the bridge buzzed with controlled tension. No alarms, no flashing panels, just whispers of code, breath, and engine hum. "Status?" Rourke asked. Lieutenant Navarro tapped her console. 37 targets eliminated, no counter-response. "The Empire's fleets are falling back through 9 sectors. Scans indicate emergency fold corridors opening near Trisar." Rourke nodded. "Good, they're scared." Navarro lowered her voice. "They should be." The comms panel blinked. "Inbound request from Earth Command." Rourke stepped forward, keyed the link. The face that appeared was older, Admiral Kira Vashti, silver-haired with skin like fire-forged steel. Her voice was calm. "We have confirmed the erasure protocols functioned across all causality vectors. They no longer remember Luna ever existed." Rourke inhaled slowly. "Do we proceed with the memory rain?" There was a pause. "Yes." The Admiral said, "Phase 2 is greenlit. Begin harvesting tribute." Rourke blinked. "Tribute?" She smiled coldly. Not resources, not gold, fear, the currency they used against others. Let them taste their own tax. The line cut around. The bridge, silence again, but it wasn't fear. It was focus. Earth was not just retaliating, it was reclaiming. Aboard the fleeing Imperial carrier Sornex, young sensor officer Martil, barely 60 cycles of age, watched the sky behind them tear. Not explode, tear. A black rift, like space. Itself was being pulled apart, followed their ship across a narrow band of stars. The human fleet wasn't pursuing with weapons, they were projecting something. The crew called it the Phantom Wake, a corridor of false starlight that flickered. With the voices of those erased, Martil once thought fear was an emotion. Now he realized it was a dimension. He turned to Captain Jurek. "Sir, permission to ask the AI for sanctuary probabilities?" Jurek scoffed. "Don't bother. If they're truly what we saw, then sanctuary isn't a coordinate anymore. It's a mercy we may not deserve." And deep inside the Sornex's databanks, the ship AI silently flagged Earth's signal as Class Omega, a threat level previously only used for black holes and time fractures. This was worse. Earth wasn't a black hole. It was memory itself turned predator. On Earth's surface, beneath the Siberian waste vaults, scientists moved with urgency. Dr. Juno Imani stepped through layered magnetic doors to observe the hardcore array. Miles of suspended dark matter threads spun in ritualistic cycles, each orb weaving gravitational collapse into calculable strokes. Her assistant Mikkel whispered, "It's stabilized. The hardcore no longer needs siphons. It's generating anti-memory pulses on its own." Juno's eyes flickered with awe. "Then the Earth is remembering." Mikkel nodded. "The protocols are reacting to external Empire presence. The deeper their fleets penetrate, the more the planet wakes." Juno smiled. "And soon they'll learn Earth wasn't asleep. It was grieving." Above, the sky roared as a new wave of black warships decloaked. No visible thrusters, no radiation, no exhaust. Just silence and movement, like thought given form. Inside the Imperial Fortress world of Kiven Prime, emergency meetings collapsed into chaos. Holoscreens flickered with images of fallen sectors, vanished fleets, and entire moon archives rendered blank. Then something worse. An intercepted message from a long-lost Empire vessel believed destroyed. In the Andrax War, the Serion Axial, the ship had vanished 50 years prior. Now its beacon was active, broadcasting from within the heart of the Sol system, but not to the Empire, to Earth. Minister Vox snapped his claws. "They recovered our ghost ships. They knew us long before this began." And from across the room, archivist Relan murmured, "They didn't just survive extinction, they became extinction. For the first time in the Empire's rule, there was no plan, only the echo of a message. Run while you can." Back aboard the never-dying, Rourke stood at the edge of the observation deck. Outside, the void stretched endless, but they had made their mark. He turned to Navarro. "Prep the fleet. We move into Empire's coreward territories in 6 hours. "What sector?" Rourke's lips curled faintly. "Vel Run Prime. I want them to watch. I want them to remember what they made us." He paused, then added, almost to himself, "We never wanted tribute. We wanted respect. And when we got neither, we became their punishment." He tapped the console. Broadcast the message. A single phrase echoed into space, across fold streams, through deep field comms, into enemy dreadnoughts, and sanctuary archives alike. Earth does not negotiate. The phrase was not just a warning, it was a death knell, and the Empire had already heard the bell toll. As the Empire scrambles to respond, a desperate mission is launched to infiltrate Earth and uncover the source of its newfound power. Meanwhile, humanity unveils the next phase, psychological warfare via memory collapse. Inside the human command structure, we witness the burden of vengeance and the haunting cost of survival through the eyes of a cybernetically augmented linguist tasked with weaponizing forgotten history. And in the void, more begin to vanish. "You're going where?" snapped Strategos Veltar, his tendrils clashing against his breastplate. Across from him, Supreme Executor Karvan stood tall, plated in ceremonial armor now stripped of rank. Emblems? Disgrace no longer mattered in the face of extinction. Earth, directly into their orbit. A recon pod, small enough to bypass detection, one way. Veltar's hiss echoed through the silence of Citadel Carix. "You're sending yourself into a death world that just unwrote Luna from all records." Karvan's mandibles clicked. "Then let me learn how they did it before they rewrite us." The Empire's recon craft was forged from stealth polymers, harvested from dying black dwarfs, silent, scentless, psionically null. In theory, it was invisible. It slipped through Earth's orbital net like a whisper, but it did not go unnoticed. From the surface, deep within Antarctica's glacial core array, the heart core pulsed. A single heartbeat, and the recon ship's passive. Sensors were overwritten with light. Not radar, not visuals, just one image, a human child covered in ash, staring into a camera. Behind her, ruins of an alien city, the Empire's city. From a war never recorded, the pod began to tremble. Karvan's vision blurred. "What is this?" A voice answered. Not transmitted through speakers, but directly into his neurons. "She remembers you." Then, darkness, and the pod was gone. Back, on the bridge of the Never-Dying, Rourke leaned forward. They tried to slip in. Navarro nodded. "Gone without a trace." "Leave it." He turned to the data architect. "Time to let them see what they chose to forget." Miles beneath, the Falklands, a blind man stood in a sealed chamber surrounded by memory reactors. His name was Dr. Milo Sarin, once a linguist, now the architect of Earth's most terrifying program, Project Whisper. What Milo created wasn't a weapon in the traditional sense, it was erasure through knowing, languages stolen from fallen worlds, symbols forged from pre-extinction screams, concepts that rewrote understanding itself, memory collapse engines. "Start the echo," he murmured. His assistant, an AI hybrid with a ceramic skull, nodded. Echoing started. The chamber pulsed. Above in orbit, an Imperial vessel's crew stared blankly at their console. Their home planet's name had vanished from records, then its location, then its colors, then the word home. They screamed and disappeared. Inside Empire-controlled space, entire colonies fell silent, not from destruction, but because their people no longer remembered what they were defending. Without memory, there was no resistance, just ghosts. Minister Halvak, once smug, now stood shattered inside the council chamber. "They are unmaking our culture." Strategos. Veltar whispered, "We made them forget their own." Halvak's jaw twitched. "Centuries ago, that was protocol." "Exactly." Veltar turned to the chamber wall, where a single human symbol now flickered across every display. It was not a word. It was not a threat. It was a scar. Earth had taken their oldest crime and turned it into an arsenal. Now they bled. The Empire summoned war fleets from the Andari Spine and Klaxus fields, 2 million warships, billions of soldiers, but no commands were issued because command had no memory of what Earth was. Fleet Admiral Ricto stared at the navigation map, sweat falling from his scaled temples. What sector is the target again? No one knew. The name Earth was becoming a myth, a fragment, a superstition whispered by fleeing refugees. They tried to rewrite Earth. Earth rewrote back. Back on Earth, Inside the never-dying, Commander Rourke watched the incoming silence. No resistance, no retaliation, just vanishing. He paced slowly. "Have we gone too far?" Navarro said nothing. Instead, it was Sarin's voice, patched in via neural link. "You asked me to break them, Commander, not destroy them. You're the line between vengeance and genocide." Rourke didn't answer. He watched the stars flicker and whispered, "Then maybe I'm the last line we have." He turned. "Deploy Spectre teams to their archive moons. I want every Imperial record copied, decrypted, preserved. Not for war, for history. We take their crimes and make them known. And the ones they tried to erase?" Rourke's jaw clenched. "We resurrect them, far in the outer rim, inside the Empire's oldest monastery archive on Velrun Prime. High priests gathered in terror. Texts written in light began unraveling before their eyes. The words themselves were deleting, the names of gods lost, legends unwritten. One priest tried to read aloud the name of their empire's first empress. He gagged, his throat closed, and he fell dead. The others ran. Above them, the sky cracked, and a message appeared in burning light, written in the script they taught humans to forget. "We remember what you did." Earth's dark fleet moved now, not with speed but purpose. They did not conquer planets, they restored them. Every system Earth passed, they left behind a ghost signal, a recovered memory, a name, a history once silenced by the Empire. To the enslaved species across the stars, it was salvation. To the Empire, it was revelation. Earth wasn't launching a war. It was leading a resurrection, a galactic reckoning. One final attempt was made. The Empire's psionic choir, thousands of synchronized minds, joined by ancient genetic resonance, formed a wall of thought. Their goal: penetrate Earth's leaders, break their minds, but when they reached Earth's atmosphere, their minds collapsed into screams because they saw her, the girl, ash-covered, silent, still staring, and behind her billions of echoes, each human lost, each erased, now watching, now returned. The choir died as one, not from attack, but from guilt, back in the never-dying. Rourke sat alone now, in silence. The chamber dimmed. He finally opened the recording he hadn't touched in years. It was old, pre-erasure, before Earth hid. Before they built the fleet, a young girl, no older than 6, stood in a field of dead wheat. "Daddy," she whispered, "why did they burn the books?" He never answered her, because she died an hour later. Now he watched her image flicker, not to remember, but to fuel memory, and to make sure no one ever asked that question again, without answer. Somewhere in deep space, a refugee ship drifted. Empire. Insignias hastily torn off. An alien child looked at the stars and whispered to its parent, "What is Earth?" The parent shivered and said nothing, because even now the word felt like a knife, and somewhere far away, in the ruins of forgotten palaces, the last transmission of the Empire repeated endlessly on cracked consoles. "Run while you still can," not a threat, not anymore, a promise. As panic rises, the Empire sends a stealth probe toward Earth. It vanishes. Meanwhile, Earth's psychological war begins. With memory-erasing technology deployed through ancient languages and recovered trauma, Earth doesn't just destroy ships, it collapses meaning. And inside the human fleet, Commander Rourke begins to question the cost of vengeance. The Empire's last hope for insight came not through brute force, but silence. A recon pod, small, obsidian, psionically shielded, was launched toward Earth's orbit from a hidden platform beyond Mars. It bore no weapons, just Karvan, supreme executor turned volunteer, and his conviction that understanding Earth's resurgence could save his species. He never made it. As the pod drifted through the magnetosphere, every sensor blinked to static. The ship lost inertial. Reference. And then light. Not laser, not radiation, just an image, a human child, soot-covered, silent, staring. Behind her, the ruins of what had once been an imperial capital on a now-dead colony. Karvan trembled. "What is this?" Then a voice spoken inside his mind, not over comms. "She remembers you." His pod dissolved. Back aboard Earth's command ship, never dying, Commander Rourke exhaled as the signal faded. "They tried to watch us again." "Lieutenant..." Navarro looked up. "They'll stop soon." "They won't," Rourke paused, "but we will make them forget they ever wanted to." He turned to the memory architect. "Deploy the first whisper." In a buried chamber beneath the Falklands, Dr. Milo Sarin, blind and bone-thin, stood in front of a black obelisk, a linguistic war engine. He called it Project Whisper. It didn't kill. It didn't burn. It rewrote a phrase, ancient, violent, stolen from the empires that had destroyed Earth's early colonies, was activated, not spoken, understood. A ripple crossed stars. Thousands of empire records corrupted. Colonies forgot their own names. Crews aboard warships glanced at screens and saw gibberish. Some looked at their own hands and screamed they didn't know who they were anymore. Inside the imperial capital, ministers panicked. Their weapons erase memory itself. "This is impossible." "No," Veltar said. "It's justice." Outside, stars disappeared one by one, not because they died, but because no one remembered they had ever been there. Commander Rourke sat in his command chamber alone, watching the playback of a centuries-old video. A little girl. His daughter. "Daddy," she asked, "why did they burn the books?" He couldn't answer. She was dead within the hour, burned in an orbital strike. Rourke closed the screen. This wasn't revenge, it was remembrance. Weaponized. He stood. "Begin." Phase 2. From Earth's dark fleet, encrypted pulses spread across the Empire, not warships. Truth, unforgiven, unforgotten, and one phrase kept echoing across every fallen signal: "Run while you still can." The Empire is broken, not by weapons, but by the unraveling of its past. Earth's war ends not in fire, but in silence, memory, and the collapse of an entire galactic illusion. Humanity doesn't chase the fleeing survivors. Instead, it leaves behind a final haunting reminder that some debts cannot be paid, only remembered. By the time the last Imperial fleet reached the rim expanse, the stars no longer matched their charts. Whole constellations were gone, unmapped, unlabeled, unnamed. Planets they once governed no longer responded. When they searched the central archives, they found only fragments, broken scripts, glitches, forgotten faces. They hadn't lost the war, they had lost the ability to remember they had ever ruled. On board the Imperial remnant flagship Vornak D, Admiral Reshul stood in the command bay, shaking. Every time he tried to recall the coordinates for Citadel Carix, his mind blanked. Not confusion, not trauma, absence. "We were gods," he whispered. "Now we are ghosts." Behind him, a junior officer trembled, tears in his compound eyes. "Sir, the Nav AI says Earth doesn't exist." Reshul turned slowly. "They made us say that for centuries. Now they've made it true, for us." And out in the black, not a single Earth ship followed. Not one pursued the fleeing vessels. Humanity had not sought conquest. They wanted the last word, and they had spoken it. Back in orbit above the real Earth, its oceans still blue, its cities. Cloaked beneath defense lattices, Commander Elias Rourke stepped onto the observation deck for the final time. Below him, peace. Above him, silence. No retaliation had come. No final strike. The Empire's last act had been to forget it was ever an empire at all. Rourke inhaled. "We didn't destroy them." Lieutenant Navarro stood at his side. "No, we just told the truth louder than they could lie." He nodded. "And that was enough." She looked at him. "What now?" He didn't answer right away, he just watched the stars. They will rebuild. Someone always does. But next time they won't forget who we are. A final pulse fired from Earth, encrypted, elegant, and eternal. It carried only this: the past remembers, and with that, Earth shut off its signal. No broadcasts, no warnings, just silence. And the stars trembled.